Well, hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to start taking you guys through some of my video series explaining how I create some of my characters and some of the techniques that I use, since that seems to be a really big topic as people want to know how I do certain things. I hope you guys enjoy. We make the streams louder. Some of my techniques and how I do things rapidly. Um, so today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on this outer ring of his eyeball. So what I've done is I've kind of give him an eyelash into an outer ring of his eye, but it goes way deeper than that. If you guys take a look, it follows the contour of Mr. Peanut's body. And we do this for printing, for not only for realistic, so that you're setting on the side and you can say, okay, yeah, that still looks like Mr. Peanut, but we do it for a printing aspect as well, so that when you print it, you know, you can see dimensionally see these objects. So let's start with making an eye for Mr. Peanut. And I tell you what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to sketch up the eye, and let's start the shape that we want, and then we'll create an object and then put that shape on that object. Now, that's better. Why don't we do that? So let's go over to our sketch tool. Let's pick the plane that Mr. Peanut is actually looking at us on, so you guys can see kind of what I'm doing here. Let's take a circle. Now these are you don't have to write down these numbers or anything, because I'm probably not going to tell you them. I'm just scaling it up so you can actually see it. So let's create a circle. Let's go in with the line tool. And one of the things I want you to understand is that when you take the line tool, notice how it snaps to. See how it becomes the blue cross? Notice how it snaps to the line. This lets us know that we're on that plane, so we can click and start to draw off of that plane. Then we're going to create a couple little shapes here. And now, see, we've got that whole eyelash look. So the problem is if you try to extrude this out of an object, you're going to have this line that's in here. So let's go in and go trim. Let's get rid of that line. So now that line is gone. But the problem is you don't want this whole thing. If you notice, Mr. Peanut, it's just this outer ring. So let's create that. So let's take another circle, put it in the center, draft it out to where we would like that ring to start. And now we've got the rings, both sides of these rings where we would like to have it. And I'll explain a couple different ways that we're going to do this. So we're going to create two different layers out of this object, and I'll show this to you. So let's finish the sketch. Okay, and we can see our original. So what you want to do is just select it. Let's drag it out of the way. Now let's go create a sphere. Whoops, well, I automatically clicked on the same plane, so it's going to put it on the same plane so you guys can see it. Let's take it down to something that's a little more manageable so you guys can actually see the effect. Okay, so we've got ourselves a sphere, and we want to cut this sphere so that it matches the contour of the sphere when we cut it out. So let's go over, let's take our sketch, let's drag our sketch in here. Let's say that his eyebrow is going to be basically up here on the side of his head. Okay, so now that we've got it, now what we want to do is we want to select the object, go up to modify, split body, then come over to the splitting tools, select the outer ring. Okay, okay, why is that failing? I only wanted one. There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. I accidentally selected 2 there for some reason, and it doesn't like to cut 2 at the same time. So we've cut 1. Okay. Um, so this does 2 things. One, it cuts at the contour of the body. As you can see, it's cutting at the contour of the sphere, but it also cut all the way through it. So it's sliced all the way through the body. Okay. Let's fix that. All right. So let's take this body here. Try to ignore all this stuff here because that's Mr. Peanut himself. So let's take that body and let's turn it off, okay? So that we can see the eyeball that we're cutting out here. What we want to do is we want to separate the front from the back so that it is like 2 separate objects. Again, I go in and I create a box. You're going to see me create a box a million times because that's what I do. I create a box. So I'm going to create a box, a thin line down, okay? And I'm going to cut through. Okay, so this is somewhat of a problem. I'm glad you guys can see this. I'm cutting an object I don't want to cut, okay? That's kind of a problem. So when you start cutting things that you don't intentionally want to cut, the only way that you can do that is turn them off so that they're not within the cutting plane. So you can see, I'm going to separate. So when you highlight it, I'm going to separate the front from the back. So now I've got 2 different bodies. Hit OK, and you got a separation now. So let's turn the sphere back on. Let's merge these 2 so that we get rid of this cut lines that's in the back, okay? So let's take this, let's modify, let's join the back part of the eye, and ta-da, it's clear, it's gone. Notice we still have the front piece. So we can take this and let's move it out so you guys can see the dimension. Okay, so it's setting out here about a half a centimeter. I do most everything in centimeter because of the cross reference between millimeter and centimeter on my slicing tools and other pieces that I use. Centimeter seems to be more fluent between the products, so things don't blow up at other different scales. Okay, so we've got the eye, the outside of the eye kind of moved out here. It's pretty cool. I tell you what, let's make it so that you understand what it looks like. To the appearance, let's take black and throw black on it. Okay. So when you come back, you can see the monocle. Or not the monocle, the eye. And notice how it follows the contour of the sphere, which is super, super cool. So now let's slice it one more time. Let's say that we want to cut this part out and make it like the outer ring of his eyeball. So let's go back to that sketch and turn it back on. Once you've used the sketch, it's basically going to turn it off in visibility. So you'll have to turn it back on so you can see it again. Okay? So this time, let's take this part of the eye and let's cut it. So let's go modify, split the body, splitting tool, the inside ring, and hit OK. Now it's been split into 2 different colors. So now we could take this, modify the appearance. Let's go in and throw it white so that you can recognize the difference in between the 2. And the cool part is it didn't cut through the sphere, it cut through the item we had selected, okay, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's take the eye itself, okay, let's move it back. Let's move it back that half a millimeter, okay. So now you'll notice we have almost like a monocle, isn't it? By the way, if you ever get disoriented, go up here in this corner and kind of adjust yourself to where you're back on the plane that you want. So see, now we've got an inner eye and an outer eye, which really kind of gives you that ability. I mean, and you could just take this on and on and on and on. There's a million things you can do with this technique. But I really wanted to teach you guys, you know, the whole how to create the eye look. So let's take this one more step. Let's go in, let's create the pupil. So on the same plane, we're going to create a sketch. We're going to come in here. We're going to create a circle. We're going to put the pupil somewhere. Let's put it like he's looking down. So let's put it right there. Finish the sketch. Okay, so we're going to take this body this time, and we are going to split the body with that sketch. Hit OK, and boom, it split it. Now we have a completely different body. So we can go in and let's adjust the appearance. Let's take black and throw it into the pupil. Close. Now let's make the pupil stick out. So when you print something, if it's on the same plane when you print it, you're not going to see it. It's not going to show in the print. So you want to move that body in some respects. So we could move it in where it becomes, you know, as long as it's a completely different layer, it's in. Or you could come and move it out. Now, let's move it out because I want to show you one more technique before we wrap up this video. So let's move, we moved it out, right? It's out here, it's above the white of the eye, the black is sticking out, but you don't want it to have the same hard ring like the outside of the eye. So what you can do is click on the surface, and then let's do a little fillet here. Let me show you what that's doing. Is it's rounding. It's rounding the eye or the pupil. It's creating a roundness to it, which actually will reflect really cool when you look at this. And you'll notice it gives you a little bit of in-depth here where you'll have this ridge where the eye kind of has this crisp line and then the fold that comes back in. So as you can see the reflection, that's what you're going to see in the end product. So let's go back to front here. So as you can see, this is, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the other eye, the original one, so you can kind of see what I did here. I made this one a little bit smaller, but I kind of wanted you guys to see the whole concept of how the eye is formed. And I hope you guys have lots of fun creating different things, and I hope to see you back for my next video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Smash that little bell icon. You'll get notifications when I release new videos. All right, bye.